PBL by
Ben,
Casey,
Owen,
and Will. Today we are going to explain who influences history the most, good or bad people. The people we will be talking about for good are Martin Luther King Jr. and Nelson Mandela. The people we will be talking about for bad are Adolf Hitler and Osama bin Laden. How did they do this? What are the important details we need to know to decide?
Person 1, Martin Luther King Jr. He was born in Atlanta, Georgia. In school, he skipped 9th and 11th grade and went to the University of Boston. He stood for black rights and carried out many non-violent revolutions. He is most famous for his "I Have a Dream" speech, where he stated a dream of a world where his sons, daughters, blacks and whites had equal rights. Sadly, he was killed by a sniper on his balcony in Memphis, Tennessee on April 4th, 1968. If it wasn't for him, blacks wouldn't have as much freedom as they do today. He was a person who taught peace because he brought his ideas to the world through words and not through violence. And it changed how history is today. Because without him, we could still be living in a racist society. One of his quotes were, "Love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend."
Adolf Hitler. He was born in Austria in 1889. He carried out one of the biggest genocides the world has ever seen, and is widely regarded as the go-to person for an example of an evil person in history. During his Holocaust, he killed about 6 million Jews, which devastated the Jewish community, forcing many of them to move to places like Israel and the U.S. His birthday was also widely celebrated on social media platforms such as Twitter. This, along with the huge migration of Jews out of Europe, as well as the fact that he planned for world domination, leads us to believe that he severely impacted the world and is very well known today. Adolf Hitler may have been bad, but unless he wanted world domination, then America may not have been on the Great Depression, or it could have ended even worse if another country attacked and took over. One of his famous quotes are, "Any alliance whose purpose is not the intention to wage war is senseless and useless."
Nelson Mandela. He was born in South Africa on July 18, 1918. He spent a lot of his adult life as an activist against the racist policy in his local government. He spoke out against the government and went to jail for it. He was a person who taught peace because he spent 27 years of his life behind bars and protested against the government so that other people could have rights. So after he was incarcerated, there was a mass protest of the local population. Even their protesting did not convince the government to release him until 27 years later, when the government finally decided to discharge him. There was a massive celebration by almost the entire world when he was released. He died on December 5th, 2013. One of his famous quotes is, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world."
Osama bin Laden. He was born in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia on March 10, 1957. He was a terrorist from Saudi Arabia who claimed to have committed the horrific events of 9/11. He killed more than 20,000 people. His mentor was a local warlord by the name of Abdullah Azam. He taught hate because he showed people how to kill for their religion and brought a new thing called suicide bombers. He was a terrorist who caused the horrific events of 9/11 on the U.S. He also started using new methods such as suicide bombers. He has always hated the Western culture because we want to control all other countries. This makes him a very bad person in history. He was killed on May 2nd, 2011 via a gunshot wound after the SEAL Team 6 raided his house. A famous quote by him is, "We love death. The U.S. loves life. That is the difference between us two." Who had more influence? The people with the most influence are...
Let's go back to the top. The question was, who has more of an influence on history? People who teach hate or people who teach peace? Sadly, we think that people who teach hate have a greater impact on history. We have concluded this because the two people who taught hate that we chose, Adolf Hitler and Osama bin Laden, are known worldwide and impact the world by genociding thousands and making headlines. Also because of smaller factors such as the recognition of Adolf Hitler's birthday on social media platforms, as well as the worldwide despair that was caused with Hitler's Holocaust and bin Laden's 9/11. While the good people are known, they are not as well known and not garnering as much attention as the hate people who teach hate. Thanks for watching our presentation.